Hello, you're watching the English News Bulletin on QPVN channel. I'm Cho Nguyen, and now let me keep you up to date with the headlines. National Assembly adopts law on participation in UN peacekeeping operations. Prime Minister MINH visits birthplace of Communist Party of China. Vietnam and Central and Eastern European countries strengthen cooperation. Continuing the 9th session on the afternoon of June the 26th, the 15th National Assembly approved many important law projects, including the law on participation in United Nations peacekeeping forces. Party General Secretary To Lâm attended the session. National Assembly Chairman Trần Thanh Mẫn chaired the event.
Regarding the voting results, 445 deputies participated in the vote. 445 deputies present voted in favor, equivalent to 93.1% of the total number of National Assembly deputies. The law on participation in the United Nations peacekeeping forces has been approved. Previously presenting a report explaining, accepting and revising the draft law, the National Assembly's Committee for National Defense, Security and Foreign Affairs said that the Vietnamese forces at each UN mission will have only one commander, whose appointment, deputies and powers are prescribed by the government. In case an individual falls ill, is injured, involved in an accident or sacrifice while performing UN peacekeeping duties, the individual or their relatives will receive benefits and policies according to the Vietnamese law and the United Nations regulations. Civilians will only participate in the UN peacekeeping force on an individual basis. The selection, deployment, and management will be carried out by responsible authorities. This law has specified the parties' viewpoints, policies, and guidelines on international cooperation. It shows the overall picture of the subjects, procedures, policies, and authority of relevant agencies so that we can select and deploy the most elite and suitable forces in accordance with UN requirements. The law on participation in the UN peacekeeping force passed by the National Assembly consists of 5 chapters and 27 articles and will take effect from January the 1st, 2026.
President Lương Cường on the morning of June the 26th received the outgoing ambassadors of Canada and Iran.
President Lương Cường congratulated Canadian Ambassador Sean Steele on his successful term in Vietnam and affirmed that Vietnam and Canada have well-organized bilateral activities on the sidelines of high-level international conferences, while augmenting economic and trade relations, defense cooperation, and people-to-people exchanges. Ambassador Sean Steele expressed his impression of Vietnam's economic recovery and development and said that Canada would always accompany Vietnam in its integration and development. Receiving Ambassador of Iran, Ali Akbar Nazari, President Lương Cường highly appreciated the ambassador's efforts in promoting Vietnam-Iran relations. Once a war-torn country, Vietnam shares the difficulties that the Iranian people are currently facing. He also emphasized Vietnam's consistent stance that the parties should resolve their differences by peaceful means, through dialogue and on the basis of international law. Ambassador Ali Akbar Nazari said that during his term, the two countries signed many important cooperation documents and well coordinated at international organizations and multilateral forums.
During attending the 16th annual meeting of the New Champions 2025 of the World Economic Forum and visiting China on the afternoon of June the 26th in Shanghai, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính and the Vietnamese delegation visited the Memorial Hall of the First National Congress of the Communist Party of China in Pudong District.
This historic site is considered the spiritual cradle of the Chinese Communists, also the birthplace of the Communist Party of China. Here in the site, on July the 23rd, 1921, that 13 delegates representing over 50 members of the Communist Party of China convened the party's first national congress. However, due to police raids, the meeting was interrupted, and then the meeting was moved onto a boat on Nanyue Lake, Zhejiang Province, where the Communist Party of China's establishment was officially declared. This event marked a historic turning point in modern Chinese history when an advanced proletarian political party was born. Signing the guest book at the historic site, Prime Minister Phat expressed admiration for the profound, monumental, and humanistic achievements of the Communist Party of China in leading the revolution and building a prosperous, harmonious, civilized, and modern country. Later that day, Prime Minister Phat visited an exhibition on the development and opening up of Pudong at the Shanghai Pudong Exhibition Hall. Located to the east of the Huangpu River, Pudong is now Shanghai's most dynamic and bustling area. However, few people know that before 1990, this area consisted mainly of agricultural land along the river banks. In 1990, China started working on transforming Pudong into a modern urban center. After 35 years of development, Pudong has witnessed a dramatic transformation and become one of the world's most prosperous and vibrant districts. Through timeline displays, scene reconstructions, multimedia interaction, and other innovative formats, the exhibition highlights major events and landmark reform measures during 35 years of reforms of Pudong, including infrastructure development, the establishment of the Shanghai Free Trade Zone, and other groundbreaking accomplishments.
The Embassy of Belarus in Vietnam solemnly held a banquet on the evening of June 26th in Hanoi to celebrate the 34th anniversary of Belarus Independence Day, July 3rd. CHINH Lieutenant General Phum Sĩ Tấn, Deputy Chief of the General Staff of the Vietnam People's Army, attended the event.
Looking back on the great historical significance of the Independence Day, Ambassador of Belarus to Vietnam, Vladimir Baraviku, emphasized the achievements of the Belarusian people have made in the cause of national construction and development. He expressed his delight at the good development of the traditional friendship and multifaceted cooperation between Belarus and Vietnam, and stressed that the two countries have all the necessary conditions to further expand cooperation and deepen the Belarus-Vietnam strategic partnership, becoming loyal friends and trusted partners of each other. On behalf of the government of Vietnam, Deputy Foreign Minister Lê Thị Thu Hằng congratulated the Republic of Belarus on this important day, emphasizing the good traditional friendship between the two countries and hoping that both sides would augment cooperation in various fields to new heights.
Coming up next, Vietnam and Central and Eastern European countries strengthen cooperation. Phat Pagoda, cultural anchor for Vietnamese heritage in Laos. On June 26th, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs held a seminar titled 75 Years of Diplomatic Relations between Vietnam and Central and Eastern European countries, strengthening friendship, enhancing cooperation, and looking to the future.
Presentations and discussions highlighted the recent progress in bilateral cooperation, ranging from political diplomatic ties, trade and investment, development cooperation, to education and training, science and technology, labor, culture, tourism, and people-to-people exchanges. Many participants proposed fresh, practical directions to expand cooperation in the new context, covering green, digital, and circular economies, innovation, and stronger links between the small and medium-sized enterprises and young entrepreneurs. In his keynote address, Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà stressed that, despite many achievements, cooperation between Vietnam and the Central and Eastern Europe still falls short of its potential. Trade turnover and FDI from the region account for only about 5% of Vietnam's total figures with the EU, much lower than with other partners. Language and cultural differences, along with administrative hurdles, continue to slow progress. Large-scale projects in strategic sectors such as high-tech and renewable energy remain limited. We should make the most of the EVFTA to boost trade by 10% annually, aiming for $15 billion by 2030. At the same time, we must expand cooperation in strategic areas such as AI, green energy, water resource management, and smart agriculture. I also call on Central and Eastern European nations to play a more active role in urging the EU to lift the IUU yellow card on Vietnamese seafood. Deputy Prime Minister Trần Hồng Hà affirmed that Vietnam, Central and Eastern Europe relations will continue to grow, bringing practical benefits to both peoples and contributing positively to peace, stability and prosperity in the region and beyond.
On June the 25th in New Delhi, India, Vietnamese Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs Nguyễn Mạnh Cường and Indian Deputy Minister of External Affairs Kumaran co-chaired the 13th political consultation and the 10th strategic dialogue between the two countries. The meeting was attended by officials from both foreign ministries.
At the political consultation, both sides agreed that Vietnam-India relations have made highly positive strides, marked by strong political trust. Both sides affirmed that defense security cooperation is a key and strategic pillar of the partnership. They agreed to further expand cooperation in training, technology sharing, and defense industry collaboration. Deputy Minister Nguyễn Mạnh Cường noted that Vietnam is actively pursuing major strategic breakthroughs, especially in science and technology and private sector development, and expressed interest in strengthening cooperation with India in science and innovation. The two sides also exchanged views on regional and international issues of shared concern. India reaffirmed its support for ASEAN's central role and reiterated its commitment to vigorously implementing the Act East policy, with Vietnam considered a key pillar, and expressed its desire to enhance cooperation with ASEAN and the Mekong sub-region.
In the heart of Vientiane, Phat Pagoda is more than just a spiritual haven for the Vietnamese community. It is also quietly nurturing the Vietnamese language, helping preserve the mother tongue across generations of overseas Vietnamese.
Since 2016, a free Vietnamese language class founded by Nguyễn Thị Thu Huyền has become a cherished gathering place for many Vietnamese families in Laos. What began as a personal wish to help her own child stay connected to their roots has grown into a vibrant space where the younger generation cultivates a love for their native language. As an overseas Vietnamese living and working in Laos, I wanted my child and children like mine to retain their Vietnamese. But here, they don't often speak the language outside the home. That's why I decided to start this free class. Over nearly a decade, the class at the Pagoda has welcomed hundreds of students from the children of Vietnamese expatriates to local Lao learners. The Vietnamese language spreads gently here through songs, poems, and everyday lessons, quietly taking root in Vientiane. I'm of Vietnamese origin. My parents told me I should keep the language alive, and I really want to study in Vietnam. Phat Pagoda has become a space where the Vietnamese language never fades, a spiritual and cultural foundation for the Vietnamese community in Laos, and a living testament to the enduring Vietnam-Laos friendship. Phat Pagoda has become a hub for preserving Vietnamese language and culture in Vientiane. Its free classes welcome both Vietnamese children and Lao learners, passing on identity, heritage, and pride. More than a place of worship, the pagoda is a guardian of the Vietnamese spirit abroad. Teaching Vietnamese abroad isn't just education. It is also a cultural mission. In an era of deep global integration, keeping the mother tongue alive among overseas communities is both a challenge and a sacred duty. These classes at the pagoda serve as more than language lessons. They are a bridge connecting young people to their roots, a source of pride and a spiritual home for the Vietnamese in Laos.
And that's all for now. Remember, you can always watch news again at QPVN.vn. Thank you for watching and hope to see you next time.